ABC News Live.
Tonight, held in contempt.
It's ridiculous. I'm supposed to be in Georgia. I'm supposed to be in New Hampshire. I'm supposed to be in Ohio and lots of other places.
Former President Donald Trump is fined thousands of dollars for violating a gag order. Warned by the judge overseeing his hush money case, he could be jailed if he does so again. All this as new information is made public surrounding another payment, this time involving a Playboy playmate. We'll have all the details. Plus, tensions rise in pockets across the country on campuses from New York and Virginia, Texas and California as videos of aggressive protesters circulate online. In addition to police tactics, the use of pepper spray in at least one instance, as national leaders demand action on both sides of the Israel-Gaza debate. And
we want to scare the bejesus out of as many politicians as possible, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, until they think, you know what? The only way I can win elections is if I start recognizing the biggest crisis that humanity faces.
Could climate voters help decide one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime? As we close out Earth Month, we're with activists reporting on their effort to turn out voters who care about climate change and the headwinds they could face come November. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thanks so much for streaming with us. We are coming to you now with breaking news at the epicenter of those growing pro-Palestinian protests across the country. The NYPD is beginning to assist officials on the campus of Columbia University. This comes after overnight a group smashed through windows and broke into the historic Hamilton Hall at Columbia and tied the doors shut. Today, Columbia said the students occupying that building could be expelled. New York City mayor spoke late today and said he believes that there are outside agitators among the demonstrators. Let's get right to our Stephanie Ramos, who's at Columbia University. She's been there all week. Stephanie, give us a sense of what the latest is.
Well, Lindsay, the NYPD and the New York City mayor held a press conference just a short time ago to discuss the situation here at Columbia University. The New York City mayor is saying that outside agitators have co-opted the protest here at Columbia University. The mayor also urging parents of students here, student demonstrators here on campus, to call them so that they can leave the area immediately. Here's a look at how the situation escalated here overnight. This is the moment protesters smashed through the doors of a Columbia University building overnight, taking their demonstrations to a new level. Protesters zip-tying doors shut and barricading themselves inside, renaming the building with a new flag in honor of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Palestinian girl killed in the war in Gaza.
The reclamation of the hall in the name of Palestine, in the name of Gaza, shows how committed students are to their solidarity with Gazans.
Tonight, Columbia University saying protesters have chosen to escalate to an untenable situation, vandalizing property, breaking doors and windows, and blockading entrances.
I feel like the leadership hasn't taken action. I think they've kind of let them get away with a lot of stuff, and it's about time we get some action.
The school warning of consequences, but for now, not calling in the NYPD. College demonstrations now reaching every corner of this country, calling for schools to divest from ties to Israel. After dozens of arrests at UNC, protesters taking down an American flag and replacing it with a Palestinian flag until school officials restored it. In California, police moving in to arrest 25 protesters at Cal Poly Humboldt on charges like vandalism and assault after students took over a campus building for a week. At Virginia Commonwealth University, police using pepper spray after the school said officers were targeted with objects and chemicals. Protesters seen flushing their eyes with water. With no end in sight to the showdown at Columbia, Jewish students who support the right to protest telling us they are worried.
Well, I think last night represented a major escalation because before that, at least the protests inside campus were mostly peaceful, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
Tonight, the governor of New York says protesters occupying this building have crossed a line.
These individuals are clearly breaking the law. There must be accountability, whether that's disciplinary action from the school or from law enforcement.
And Stephanie Ramos is back with us. Stephanie, what's next for these demonstrators?
Well, right now, Lindsay, we know that the NYPD and the New York City mayor have urged student demonstrators here on campus to leave immediately for their safety. Of course, the New York City mayor calling on the parents of these students to call them and let them know they should leave the area. Right now, we know several roads around the university campus here have been blocked off by NYPD officers. In the last few minutes, we've seen many more officers move in here. They brought in extra barricades. So far, they stand ready, but they have not engaged. They are waiting on the university to make that call, Lindsay.
And just before we let you go, right behind you, obviously, we see those protests taking place. They appear to be peaceful protests.
So far, this group here has been here all day, right outside the Columbia University gates. They have been chanting, they have been protesting here, but this group here has been peaceful. We have not seen any violent acts here while we've been here all day, but the police they have been close by, and they are monitoring that situation closely.
All right, Stephanie Ramos for us. Thanks so much. Meanwhile, Columbia now also faces a class action lawsuit from a student for allegedly violating student safety protocols. The lawsuit, filed on Monday, accuses the school of not maintaining a safe learning environment for its students, detailing how demonstrators have targeted and harassed Jewish students and faculty, and claims the university has failed to stop it. It also says the decision to switch to hybrid classes for the rest of the semester was an admission that the university had become a place too dangerous for Jewish students to receive the education they were promised. Next tonight, to Donald Trump's criminal trial. The judge held Trump in contempt of court today, fining him and threatening to put the former president in jail if his behavior continues. Judge Merchant leveled a $9,000 fine after repeated attacks on witnesses and potential jurors. Trump was also ordered to remove the social media posts in question, which he did during the trial's lunch break. We're standing by to hear from criminal defense attorney Arthur Aidala. But first, ABC's senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky reports now from outside the courthouse.
Tonight, the judge in Donald Trump's criminal trial holding the former president in contempt of court for his relentless public attacks on witnesses and potential jurors. Judge Juan Merchan ruling Trump violated the gag order 9 times, slapping him with a $9,000 fine, the most allowable, and a warning. If Trump keeps it up, it may be necessary and appropriate to throw him in jail. The ruling coming on day 9 of the trial, Trump repeatedly complaining how cold it is in court.
I'm going to sit in a freezing cold icebox for 8 hours, 9 hours or so. They took me off the campaign trail.
For the first time, a member of Trump's family accompanying him to court, his son Eric, who sat behind his father. Prosecutors today laying out the hush money payment at the heart of the case, showing the jury how Trump's former fixer Michael Cohen arranged to pay porn star Stormy Daniels for her story of an alleged affair with Trump to keep it from voters before the 2016 election. Prosecutors called Daniels' former lawyer Keith Davidson, who helped broker the deal. He testified Daniels' story had been floating around the internet for years, but Trump's team made no effort to buy it until the final weeks of the 2016 campaign, after the Access Hollywood tape became public. Trump heard boasting about groping women.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Before the Access Hollywood tape, Davidson testified there was very little, if any, interest. But after, that interest reached a crescendo. Davidson found himself negotiating directly with Michael Cohen. The two men struck a deal. Daniels would get $130,000 for her story. But Davidson testified it was my understanding that Mr. Trump was the beneficiary of this contract. But the payment kept getting delayed. Davidson said Cohen told him, "What do you expect me to do? My guy is in 5 states a day. I'm doing everything I can." Davidson was convinced, though, they were trying to kick the can down the road until after the election. Ultimately, Cohen told him, "God damn it, I'll just do it myself," and paid the porn star out of his own pocket. Prosecutors say when Trump later reimbursed Cohen, he illegally falsified documents to make it all look like a legal expense.
Aaron Katersky joins us once again from outside of the courthouse. Aaron, the judge held Trump in contempt, issued a fine. Do we expect any more fallout from this?
It's certainly possible, Lindsay. There's a hearing later this week on additional gag order violations. Trump has been complaining about this today. He called the judge rigged and crooked and conflicted, but the judge made clear in his order today, if these flagrant violations of his gag order continue, he's not above throwing Trump in jail. Lindsay?
And Trump calling that gag order totally unconstitutional. We'll see if he starts to take it more seriously going forward. Aaron Katersky, our thanks to you. And joining us now is criminal attorney Arthur Aidala. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much. Just hearing that real quick, like when you're a criminal defense attorney and your client is outside saying these bad things about the judge, And then you got to walk in there later that day or the next day. I had a client like that. He was a New York billionaire. And I mean, he was saying the nastiest, meanest things to me, but loud enough that the judge could hear it. And I just was like, Mr. Hirschfeld, do you realize that this judge, if you get convicted, number one, has your life in your hands, but number two, there's so many rulings that he has discretion over between now and the end of the trial. Like, why are we ticking him off? And I'll tell you what he said. If that judge was so smart, he wouldn't be sitting up there. He'd be making all the money I just paid you, and he'd be sitting down here. So, yeah, Todd Blanche has got a really rough road ahead of him.
Your reaction to the judge actually calling Trump in contempt of court, this gag order?
I mean, look, it's not surprising. The judge kind of set himself up to be in this difficult position. Anytime you put in a gag order, you have to be able to back it up. It's like a parent with a child. You know, if you don't do this, I'm going to take away your phone. Well, then you got to take away the phone. The problem is here, the judge doesn't have that much power. I mean, $9,000, Lindsay, I mean, what is that doing for Donald Trump? And I think, and this is just a guess, if he put Trump in jail even for 6 hours, like Trump, that's exactly what Trump wants. I mean, it will be international news.
So you don't really think that that's a possibility? I mean, I know he has the power, but you're saying you don't think he's going to actually act.
You also have to look at Donald Trump, the individual. Forget about, or any individual in that position, a 77-year-old man who's never been in trouble in his life, in the lowest level crime, felony crime, a white-collar crime with no victims. You know, judges are very, very reluctant to put someone like that in prison for a minute.
Trump called the judge with this gag order totally unconstitutional. Your response to that?
Well, it's, you know, it doesn't infringe on someone's rights. I mean, you know, people confuse the First Amendment. The First Amendment has to do with government trampling on your rights to speech. And this is the government doing that. It's a balancing test. And, you know, look, it's very frustrating when you're accused of something and other people are out there beating you up and you can't reply to it. It's you know, it's a difficult position for a lawyer to be in. When I tried the Harvey Weinstein case, that was the position we were in. We weren't allowed to say anything, but the complaining witnesses, lawyers, the likes of Gloria Allred, were out there every day beating the heck out of us, and we could not retort. In fact, I did a short radio interview with the late Imus in the morning, Diane Imus, and I got called in the next day, and I got yelled at, and all I was talking about was how jury selection takes place. I didn't do what Trump did. So, you know, judges should really be very, very tight before they just hand out these gag orders, especially when it's hard for them to ultimately enforce them.
Your reaction to what's played out in court so far?
They're laying the groundwork. I mean, they're laying the groundwork because their base of the prosecutor's trial has to be so strong, like solid, like you're building a skyscraper, not a house, a skyscraper, because when Michael Cohen comes in, that's a hurricane, an earthquake, a tornado, all wrapped into one. I mean, they're going to cross-examine the heck out of him, unlike almost every other every other witness that you see testifying. But hundreds of prosecutors have gotten convictions before with horrible people as their main witness. So it doesn't eliminate them, but they need to be on very strong grounds when he takes that stand.
And before I let you go, as we were discussing during Aaron's piece, is it really damning for Trump that, at least the allegation on the witness stand was that he really didn't care about keeping Stormy Daniels quiet until after the Access Hollywood tape, weeks before the election?
Yeah, and that because then in the prosecution summation, they're going to say, although you just heard our colleague, the defense attorney, say this was about his family, the timeline doesn't add up. It's he doesn't get excited about this. This doesn't get any traction until his sex life and the way he treats women really become part of the campaign after the Access Hollywood tape. That's how you know, ladies and gentlemen, beyond a reasonable doubt, he was only doing this for the election. And if that's true, you have to find him guilty.
Arthur Aidala, always appreciate your insight and your time. Thank you so much. In Los Angeles, several people were injured after a collision between a Metro train and a University of Southern California campus bus. According to LA Metro, the bus crossed into the path of a Metro E-line train. Officials said at least 55 people were treated after the crash. 18 of them were brought to the hospital. No word just yet on what led to that crash. We turn now to that violent shootout in Charlotte, North Carolina, the deadliest day for American law enforcement in years. As officers serving a warrant came under fire, 8 were wounded, 4 of them killed. A suburban neighborhood turned into a war zone. 2 officers seen taking shelter behind a vehicle, exchanging gunfire with a heavily armed suspect next door. And tonight, the faces of those fallen officers. Here's Faith Abube in Charlotte.
Tonight, the dramatic new video showing the suburban Charlotte neighborhood turned into a war zone. A tense standoff with a convicted felon that left 4 officers, including a U.S. Marshal, dead, and 4 others wounded. The officers seen taking cover behind vehicles as they exchanged a barrage of gunfire with the heavily armed suspect. Officials say around 1:30 Monday afternoon, members of a U.S. Marshal Fugitive Task Force went to arrest Terry Clark Hughes Jr. for felony possession of a firearm. Police say the suspect saw them coming and targeted them as they approached his house.
He was shooting from upstairs down at the officers, both front and back. Gunshots were coming from multiple locations within the house.
The suspect armed with an assault-style rifle, a handgun, and extra ammunition.
Tyler.
Sang Chun lives next door and was just feet away.
And the bullets were flying.
Flying right here.
The violent shootout lasting 4 hours. The suspect shot dead on his front lawn. At an emotional press conference today, officials clearly grieving, remembering the officers' heroic acts in the line of duty.
It's just been very tough. And knowing that you have families that are hurting right now. We'll get through it, though.
Investigators now identifying all 4 law enforcement officers who died in the violent attack. Officers Sam Pelosi and William Alden Elliott, 14-year veterans of the Department of Adult Correction. Thomas Weeks, a U.S. Marshal who leaves behind a wife and 4 children. And Joshua Iyer, an Army veteran and father of a 3-year-old who just last week was honored as Officer of the Month.
Our hearts certainly go out to those families. Faith Abube joins us now. And Faith, what's the condition of those wounded officers? And what else are investigators telling you tonight?
Well, Lindsay, the good news here is that tonight only 1 of the 4 injured officers remains in the hospital. The police chief telling me that he is stable. Lindsay.
Faith Abube for us in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks so much, Faith. Now to the race for the White House. Former President Donald Trump sat down for a wide-ranging interview with Time magazine with new comments on abortion, saying some states might choose to monitor pregnancies to possibly prosecute women who violate abortion bans. Now President Biden is responding. Here's our Mary Bruce.
Tonight, Donald Trump says he won't stand in the way if states want to monitor pregnant women to make sure they comply with abortion bans. And he won't step in to prevent states from prosecuting women who violate those bans by ending their pregnancies. In an interview with Time magazine, Trump was asked, do you think states should monitor women's pregnancies so they can know if they've gotten an abortion after the ban? Trump saying, I think they might do that. Again, you'll have to speak to the individual states. Trump then asked if he'd be comfortable if states prosecute women who get abortions. His response, it's irrelevant whether I'm comfortable or not. It's totally irrelevant because the states are going to make those decisions. In the 2016 campaign, Trump said women who have abortions should be punished.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
He quickly backtracked. As president, he appointed 3 of the justices who overturned Roe v. Wade, something he continues to brag about.
We broke Roe v. Wade, and we did something that nobody thought was possible. We gave it back to the states, and the states are working very brilliantly.
President Biden calling Trump's comments today reprehensible, saying Donald Trump doesn't trust women. I do. Both Biden and Trump well aware that abortion could be on the ballot in 13 states this November, including critical battlegrounds like Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida. And that every time abortion has been on the ballot since Roe was overturned, even in red states, abortion rights have won.
Abortion on the ballot could certainly be pivotal. Mary Bruce joins us now from the White House. Mary, how's the Biden team trying to seize on all of this?
Well, they certainly are trying to capitalize on all of this. The Vice President, Kamala Harris, is especially taking on a stepped-up role here. She will be down in Florida tomorrow as the state's 6-week abortion ban goes into effect. Now, Trump has called that ban too severe and too harsh, but he won't say how he will vote on the matter as a Florida resident when it's expected to be on the ballot there in November. Lindsay.
Mary Bruce from the White House for us. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
Haiti's Transition Council named Edgar LeBlanc, the former Senate president, to head the committee and stated last week as it seeks to bring security back to the violence-racked Caribbean nation. The transitional body is formed by 7 voting members and 2 non-voting observers. LeBlanc won the nomination with 4 votes, including his own. Per Haiti's constitution, the country should elect a new president by February of 2026. We turn now to weather. Parts of the heartland devastated by that tornado outbreak just days ago now face new threats tonight and tomorrow. Millions could be affected. Residents in Polk County, Texas, just north of Houston, now face a mandatory evacuation order. Heavy rains with more expected, causing officials to open the gates of the Lake Livingston Dam, exacerbating worries of further flooding downstream. Joining us now for the full forecast is our chief meteorologist, Ginger Z. Hey, Ginger.
Hey, Lindsay, you know, we've got 4 states still with tornado watches until later tonight. So the next couple of hours, we'll still have to look for that primed atmosphere that could easily make tornadoes. Des Moines included, all the way down to Wichita. Giant hail still a possibility tonight, too. But tomorrow, look at that enhanced risk that's right there at Dodge City, Kansas, Woodward, Oklahoma. Anywhere from Kearney, Nebraska, down to Abilene, Texas, has to be on the lookout. Remember, damaging winds can easily take down trees, put them into homes, into also cars, and that can injure or kill people very easily. So this is the time of year, and unfortunately, we're ending April now at the 2nd most tornadoes on record for the month, and that's just a preliminary number. That could even go up. Lindsay.
All right, so many good tips there. People need to be careful. Ginger, our thanks to you. Officials have finalized new guidelines recommending most women begin breast cancer screenings by 40 years old. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force finalized the guidance recommending screenings with mammograms every other year for women with an average risk of developing breast cancer, dropping the recommended age down from 50. The change in age accounts for the growing number of women in their 40s diagnosed with breast cancer each year, as well as racial disparities in breast cancer diagnoses and survival rates. And we still have much more to get to here on Prime Tonight, reclassifying marijuana, what the historic move by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration means. But next, the November election, it is creeping closer, and the Environmental Voter Project is going door to door to make sure one group gets to the polls, those who are concerned about climate change.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
Part of an operation.
Is this our combat operations center?
We're approaching the gate. Militants came in from different directions. Nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag not carrying it. How important it made the USA. Great work.
Hi. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ismail?
David.
David.
I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Can you believe it? It's 25 years of breakfast in bed, surprising moms across America.
Oh, my goodness.
And for our 25th anniversary, we're making it the biggest surprise yet.
A full-on breakfast in bed extravaganza like you have never seen before.
So go to goodmorningamerica.com or scan this QR code to find out how to enter a deserving mom you love for breakfast in bed. This is the first time you are sitting down like this to tell your story. February 15th, 2022, the day you left home and things would never really be the same. Brittany, are you ready? So you reached down because you've been told to go through your bag and you felt
the cartridge.
What were you thinking at that moment when you felt that and had to bring it out?
My life is over right here.
Had you ever brought cannabis before into Russia? Had you?
Never.
There are people who say, come on, how did you not know that you had cartridges in your luggage? What do you say to the skeptics? You've just been told you're going to be 9 years in a penal colony, one of the worst prisons in Russia.
I was just so scared for everything because there's just so much unknown. There was a huge knife sitting on the table, and I was just like, no, this is gonna be a ride. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive. The mattress had a huge blood stain on it. I had no soap, no toilet paper. That was the moment where I just felt less than a human.
There were times that you felt like, let me just end it.
Yeah. Just, I didn't think I could get through what I needed to get through.
Brittany Griner, Robin Roberts.
I'm going to ask you about where your life is right now. Who's the BG in front of me right now?
Prisoner in Russia. Wednesday night, May 1st on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Welcome back, everyone. Climate change. It's an issue many young Americans are very passionate about, but will it motivate them to go to the polls this November? ABC News White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks traveled to Pittsburgh to report on the effort to turn out voters who care deeply about what's happening on our planet.
Emily Church is a biologist turned activist.
I'm aiming for around 80 today.
Knocking on doors in Pittsburgh, she tells me she used to spend time pushing lawmakers on climate change, but lawmakers told her voters didn't care. She set out to prove them wrong.
The people who prioritize climate and the environment need to show up, and that's how we're going to get anything done.
If the voter comes to the door, basically just follow the script.
The Environmental Voter Project is targeting very specific voters, environmentally conscious citizens, often young people and people of color, who rarely head to the polls.
We're leaving a personal touch. And just that little nudge.
Of all the ways to work on climate change, why this?
Because people who vote or who politicians pay attention to, and so they make the decisions, and so we need people who care about the environment to vote.
And that's our biggest problem in the climate movement right now. We don't have enough voting power.
The group's founder, Nathaniel Stinnett, says they've had some success.
We've sometimes increased turnout as much as 1.8 percentage points in general elections, 3.6 points in primaries, and 5.7 points in local elections.
Okay, if I'm being honest, that doesn't sound like a lot.
Ask Donald Trump how big a deal 1.8% is in Pennsylvania, and he'll tell you. These are big numbers in this business, really big numbers.
The group is nonpartisan, though acknowledges it's almost exclusively Democrats right now working to address climate change. They hope they can push Republicans to come to the table, too.
We want to scare the bejesus out of as many politicians as possible, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, until they think, you know what? The only way I can win elections is if I start recognizing the biggest crisis that humanity faces.
But that's no easy task.
By definition, the people who haven't voted historically are going to be harder to turn out and to convince because they've already exhibited this behavior of disengagement with the process.
Across the board this election, registered voters list immigration, the economy, abortion, and democracy as their top issues, with climate change not even making the top 10. Partisan and generational divides at play. But young voters, even young conservatives, are more likely to say it matters.
Young voters in general tend to be more democratic, but that is kind of tied up inextricably with their belief that climate is really important. So if Republicans don't want to basically be losing this up-and-coming electorate by large margins for decades to come, they're going to have to eat into that Democratic support by at least proposing some solutions and addressing climate change.
All politicians are motivated by winning elections. And so we just want to build up that demand in the political marketplace for environmental leadership, whether you're a liberal or a conservative.
Even the Biden White House, which has prioritized fighting climate change, pushed by young progressives, a key part of the Democratic voting base, to do more. Last summer, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre interrupted by a protester over the administration's approval of a new drilling project in Alaska.
I think there were some missteps by the administration. Permitting the Willow Project in Alaska was a step backwards. That was unfortunate.
What do you say to those young voters who argue he hasn't done enough?
Well, the fact is President Biden has done more to address climate change than any president in U.S. history. And there's a lot more to be done. I talked to a lot of young people and young voters who are questioning whether or not government can solve big problems like the climate crisis. And Joe Biden is working hard to show young voters that government can do good things.
On this issue, the choice before voters is stark. President Biden has pushed renewable energy solutions, backed electric vehicle infrastructure, and created a new climate corps. While former President Donald Trump has opposed Biden's clean energy policies and promised to roll them back.
Scientists have said that we still can avoid the worst of the climate crisis, but what we do in these next few years is essential to which path we choose.
Nathaniel agrees and says too often Americans have been told to focus on their own small habits and not big policy.
Hey, don't pay attention to that coal-fired power plant back there. Instead, it's all your fault for having a plastic water bottle in your hand. And we bought it. We bought it hook, line, and sinker, when in truth, it is far more of a political and a systemic problem that needs political and systemic solutions.
It's a slow day, very few people home. But a scientist at heart, Emily appreciates their data-driven approach.
We have randomized controlled trials for each kind of outreach, so we know this is working.
It's an uphill battle, but for Emily, finding and activating these new voters is worth the fight.
Scientists do generally feel a sense of urgency on this issue, and as I said, the science is very clear, so we know what we need to do. It's just a matter of getting it done.
Our thanks to Mary Alice Parks for that. Still much more to get to tonight on Prime. Coming up, our Your Voice, Your Vote team heads to Arizona and Florida, 2 states where abortion will be on the ballot. How might Democrats use the issue to attract more swing voters? Plus, the hacks are back. Season 3 of the comedy is almost here, and it's kicking off with an awkward reunion between the 2 main characters. My conversation with co-creator and co-star Paul W. Downs about what to expect from the next season of the smash hit show.
This is not about parents who just let their kid watch violent movies or play violent video games. This is about parents who neglected their son, ignored his cries for help, and then bought him a gun.
The first parents in America to be charged in a school shooting.
Involuntary manslaughter charges against parents of the shooter at Oxford High School who killed 4 students and wounded others.
There's a myth that a shooter just snaps. It's just not true. There are always signs.
He was crying for help and being ignored.
He had pictures of a target on his bedroom wall, shell casings on his nightstand. A very toxic, turbulent relationship. Those people are yikes. The life they lived was just crazy. The sexting and the really terrible things they'd video of their sexual acts. They purchased that gun for him with his money and bragged about it.
They're being told by a school counselor that he thinks their son's going to kill himself, and they do nothing.
As soon as I heard they were called to the school that day, the messages about LOL, don't get caught, those were very, very concerning to me.
That's the moment that no juror is going to think, well, haven't we all been there?
Here's what it is. I got it. They do not seem shocked about him having the gun. There was no shock. Zero.
School shooters aren't created, they're made, and it's made over time.
You don't get to walk away from that. You just don't. That's a criminal act.
Sins of the parents, the Crumbly Trials.
The opposite of love is not hate. It's just being ignored.
Only on Hulu.
You're watching America's #1 streaming news, ABC News Live. Breaking news, exclusives, live reporting across the globe. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
Is that you?
Pretty good.
That's me and my big booty.
How much do you make on OnlyFans versus, say, an episode on Sopranos?
Oh, way more on OnlyFans.
Celebrities can absolutely make a living on OnlyFans.
Bella is the model. He made over $20 million. Do you consider what you do pornography or sex work?
OnlyFans, not just sex.
If I had it to do all over again, I would have done it sooner.
Only on Hulu.
Can you believe it? It's 25 years of breakfast in bed, surprising moms across America.
Oh my goodness.
And for our 25th anniversary, we're making it the biggest surprise yet.
A full-on breakfast in bed extravaganza like you have never seen before.
So go to goodmorningamerica.com or scan this QR code to find out how to enter a deserving mom you love for breakfast in bed.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
I'm Tom Barrett with this group of Ukrainian attack helicopters in eastern Ukraine. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're watching ABC News Live.
People don't like to feel like they have something taken away from them, and the right to an abortion is one of those.
We're college students, and college students make mistakes, and we want a degree, we want a career, and a baby just might not be ideal for someone right now, and that's okay.
Those college-age voters we just heard from will likely have some tough choices come November. Ballot initiatives in Florida and likely Arizona could give the people, not the state legislatures, the final say on reproductive rights. But before that happens, the Arizona Senate is set to vote tomorrow to repeal the 1864 law that bans abortion in almost all cases. If repealed, a different law there that bans abortion after 15 weeks would eventually go into effect. And in Florida, at the stroke of midnight tonight, one of the most restrictive laws in the nation goes into effect, banning abortion after 6 weeks in almost all cases. Joining us now for our 2024 Your Voice, Your Vote Gut Check is ABC's Deputy Political Director, Avery Harper. Avery, thank you so much for joining us. Florida, it appears, has been getting redder and redder, but do Democrats believe that enough Republicans or undecided voters in particular are upset with the new abortion law in that state that they might actually be able to turn it blue?
That is their hope, that they're able to make this a winnable state for Democrats because folks are upset about the issue of abortion. The fact that abortion is explicitly going to be on the ballot there, they're hoping will mobilize voters to turn out to the polls, because when we've seen abortion-related ballot measures on the ballot in other states, even ruby red states, we've always seen pro-abortion efforts and Democrats come out on the winning side.
And in Arizona, Republicans did do the work to repeal that 1864 law that many people believed went too far when it came to abortion. Do you think that that's enough to maybe appeal to the hearts and minds of undecided voters there?
Well, the work of passing that repeal isn't done. We are going to see tomorrow the Arizona Senate come back into session where they could vote to repeal that 1864 ban that does not include exceptions for rape or incest. But I'll tell you that Democrats, particularly, and progressives in that state will not allow voters to forget the fact that Republicans also blocked efforts earlier to repeal that 1864 ban. There is going to be a lot of work done on the part of progressives to get folks out to the polls to vote on this ballot measure if it's on the ballot. They are pushing for a ballot initiative that could enshrine abortion in the state's constitutions up until the point of viability.
If it does appear on the ballot there in Arizona, do the Republicans there have a plan?
Well, we're hearing that Republicans there are actually organizing to try and figure that out. They could be working to put up some competing abortion-related ballot initiatives that would compete with this progressive-led effort to enshrine abortion rights in the state's constitution. And they are hoping that that could muddle the support that that progressive effort has. We'll see what happens there.
We will be watching. All right, Avery Harper, our thanks to you. And we still have much more ahead here on Prime as the U.S. Supreme Court prepares to rule on a historic series of cases. Retired Associate Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer sits down with Devin Dwyer to pull back the curtain on the embattled institution. Plus, Walmart health centers are closing when they'll shut their doors.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember
that lives are changed.
Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland, from Poland once again tonight. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. Do you think you'll ever be able to go back home? We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Splintered houses and splintered lives. The magnitude of the devastation. You're streaming ABC News Live. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Raleigh, North Carolina, the U.S. Capitol, Mayfield, Kentucky,
Minneapolis,
Mexico, Tongass National Forest, Alaska.
Getting you behind the stories as they happen, giving you a front row seat to our world as it plays out in real time, live.
ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights, America's most honored streaming news program, only on ABC News Live. Streaming free right now wherever you stream your news.
Can you believe it? It's 25 years of breakfast in bed, surprising moms across America. For our 25th anniversary, we're making it the biggest surprise yet.
A full-on breakfast in bed extravaganza like you have never seen before.
So go to goodmorningamerica.com or scan this QR code to find out how to enter a deserving mom you love for breakfast in bed.
Whenever news breaks.
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland, let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Well, dead ahead. Hang on!
We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer.
It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
Get ready, America, every Friday.
The hottest trends, styles, and must-have. What's the right stuff to buy right now? I really love that. It's time to buy the right stuff.
Yes!
And save big time, too.
The right stuff.
Fridays on GMA. You're going to love it.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories. Start Here.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Make it your daily first listen, wherever you get your podcasts.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration to reclassify marijuana. Walmart closes dozens of health centers, and the best shows on Broadway learn whether or not they're up for a Tony nom. These stories and much more in tonight's Rundown.
The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration will move to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug, marking a historic shift to generations of American drug policy. The announcement comes after President Biden called for a review of federal marijuana law in October 2022 and moved to pardon thousands of Americans convicted federally of simple possession of the drug. A 14-year-old boy is dead, and a man has been arrested after driving a car into a home in East London and getting out and attacking members of the public with a sword, according to police. 5 people were injured in total, including 2 police officers. The other victims are in the hospital, but are not thought to have life-threatening injuries. Police say the incident was not terror-related. People older than 60 lost $3.4 billion in 2023, an 11% increase from the previous year, according to a new report released by the FBI. The average dollar loss was nearly $34,000, and close to 6,000 people lost more than $100,000. According to the FBI, tech support fraud was the #1 crime impacting complainants older than 60, the FBI said. Walmart is closing all 51 of its health centers in 5 states and virtual care services after struggling to find success, the company said. Walmart said that employees that worked at its health centers are eligible to transfer to any other Walmart or Sam's Club location. Walmart still runs almost 4,600 pharmacies and more than 3,000 vision centers in the U.S. The 2024 Tony Award nominations are in. Hell's Kitchen and Stereophonic scored the most nominations of any shows this year, with 13 total noms, including Best Musical and Best Play. Other top nominated shows included The Outsiders with 12 noms, Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club with 9 noms, and Appropriate with 8 nominations. Dramatic video shows New Jersey Transit police officers using life-saving skills to save the life of a choking 3-year-old. The incident happened Tuesday, April 16th, when officers at the Trenton station responded to cries for help.
He started turning a little bit more blue, a little bit more gray, and that's when the sergeant, we tried to get him down on the ground to perform CPR.
Officers transported the child to the hospital where CPR was continued.
Stay with me, okay?
The officers got the child to breathe. The 3-year-old was rushed to the ER and treated by doctors.
As the U.S. Supreme Court prepares to decide a historic series of major cases this spring, our Devin Dwyer sat down with retired Justice Stephen Breyer tonight. Hear where he thinks this conservative court is headed.
They're taking up abortion, gun rights for domestic abusers, bump stocks, free speech on social media, presidential immunity. Any regrets you're not up there with them in the mix?
Well, of course. But I mean, you reach a certain age, and that's the human condition.
What's the mood up there right now?
I can't tell you that, because I don't know. I mean, when we went to lunch, lunch has always been pleasant. It's always been pleasant.
But does the fact that you're still plugged in, I mean, is there a role for you to play as a former justice behind the scenes?
No, well, I think there is a role. So how do I help? I write this book. That's how.
This is your 10th book. Parts of it, to me, do seem like you're addressing the current court, and you explicitly say at some points the newest members of the court. And one of the messages I hear is slow down.
That's right. And it's slow down, period. You're there a long time. It takes 3 years, 4 years, 5 years maybe, before you begin to adjust.
Why are they so eager? Why are you telling me?
You're the one who said they were so eager. I said, Byron White said that with every new judge, it's a new court. That's true.
You talk about the Dobbs case in the book. Justice Thomas has explicitly, in his concurrence in Dobbs, called for the revisiting of some other decisions, same-sex marriage, contraception. I mean, could those kinds of things, do you think, be at risk with this new lens that's taking hold?
I tend to think over time they are less at risk than people worry about at the moment.
I take your optimism. Some might say you're a bit naive. But
I have
we'll
had
see.
40 years. I have had 40 years of experience.
Why are you so optimistic that members of this conservative majority will swing back the other way, come around, see the light, as you put it in the book, in the next 3 to 4 years?
There's reason for thinking they won't change and reason for thinking they will. They won't perhaps give up being a more conservative person than some other person, but the textualism, literalism.
They may modify a little bit.
Why do I say that? Because I think they'll find it doesn't work.
You've chided the media publicly before for using the labels liberal and conservative. And I take your point, but some might say these philosophies, textualism versus pragmatism, are just proxies for Republican views and Democratic views.
That's a good question. Politics in the sense in which it was used when I worked for Senator Kennedy. Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you popular? Are you unpopular? How will this decision over here play into your general image? How will it over here play into more votes? That's not there. But there are things there, you see, which, depending on the case, I can see more than I did why you might say politics, though I don't think that's the right word. What Paul Freund said, who was a great professor at Con Law, said that politics enters the judiciary this way. He says no judge decides a case based on the temperature of the day, but every judge is affected by the climate of the season.
You've also made the case that rule of law only survives with confidence in the institution by the public. Why should the public trust that members of the court are abiding by its ethics code when there's no enforcement mechanism.
There's no enforcement mechanism
and no
for any federal judge, because the only way you can really punish a federal judge is by impeachment.
All the headlines about some of your former colleagues that have been out there, and very concerning to people, about certain conduct that's been alleged, trips, book deals, things of the like, you don't think there needs to be any independent review of that?
What? I didn't say that. What I said was there was only one real way of punishing the judge, and that's to impeach.
There's been a lot of talk in the past year about the political activities of justices' spouses. Does that ever become problematic?
Suppose that your wife wants to give $100 to candidate X, and you're a member of the court. Can she do it?
Can't she?
What
does the ethics code say?
It doesn't say she can't. But it's not just what the ethics code said. I thought this was a period when women made their own decisions. I thought this was a period when they were not just sort of, you know, doing whatever was best for their husband. They are surprisingly
independent people.
I thought so.
You see a clear line there.
I thought so. I thought so.
Do you worry about political reaction to the court's decisions, and do you worry about violence?
There were instances of someone who was, I think, caught who'd flown from the West Coast with weapons with the intent of attacking one of the justices.
Right, Justice Kavanaugh.
Yeah. So of course it's a concern, and it's a serious, serious problem. You don't want any of the disagreements among people, which are many and can be healthy. Find out what they think. But violence? No. I'm sorry. Totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Finally, I wanted to ask you about something you said when you decided to retire from the court. You said the country is an experiment in democracy that's still going on.
It's that next generation and the one after that. My grandchildren and their children. They'll determine whether the experiment still works. And of course, I am an optimist, and I'm pretty sure it will.
Why are you so optimistic when every day we're bombarded with reasons why this democratic experiment is on the brink?
On the brink? I said, I don't know. Why do I say such a thing?
It's not the first time the country has felt like it's coming apart.
No, not the first time. And what Senator Kennedy used to say is the country goes like this. You know, it's wavering. And Churchill said that. He said the United States always does the right thing after trying everything else. There's a lot to learn before you become too depressed.
Great conversation. Our thanks to Devin for that. What do you get when a young down-on-her-luck comedian and a legendary stand-up star walk into a Vegas casino? A hilarious award-winning TV show. The breakout hit Hacks is back with a third season that is sure to keep audiences laughing. Let's take a look.
Deborah, after your special, your career's never been hotter. Did you ever think you'd be back on top?
Yes. Deborah's here.
You're here?
She hired new writers.
You know what? She hired 2.
Back on top, joining us now is the show's co-creator and star. What doesn't he do? Paul W. Downs. So pleased to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so you guys took a 2-year hiatus. You had fans questioning what was going on, would you be back? And I heard you recently say that you actually pitched the show's finale episode when you pitched the series. Is that part of your normal writing process?
Well, we had a lot of time to think about this. We first conceptualized it in 2015. So we thought about it for a long time. And so when we pitched the show, we did pitch the very last scene of the very last episode. Most networks heard it. HBO Max didn't, because they stopped us and they bought it in the room, which is very nice of them. But they don't know what happens in the very, very end. They're one of the few. So, yeah.
When you have things like Gene Smart's Christmas Room, right? You have this all-star, really hilarious cast. How much of that is collaboration with the actual stars about their characters, and how much is you?
Well, that was ripped from the headlines because Jean Smart loves Christmas and she goes all out. So we did borrow a little bit from her life in terms of the Christmas Room. But you know, now that we're in the 3rd season, we are writing more specifically, I think, to all of our actors and deepening the relationships of the characters. And really taking it up a notch.
We've seen headlines like the death of the comedy, the existential crisis facing comedy. What is your thought about our future and comedy?
Wow, that's heavy. Well, I really think comedy is so important politically. I think satire is so important. I think speaking truth to power in comedy is so important, but there are less and less comedies being made. And especially now, it feels like at a time when the world is so divided in so many ways, laughter and the kind of show that brings us together, I think we need more of them. And I really do think there is a lack happening right now. So.
You and your sidekick, Kayla, which is, you guys just had this instant chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm curious, is there any chance we might see a spin-off, like any Jimmy Kayla spin-off in the future?
I mean, from your mouth to Max's ears, I think that would be great. We have so much fun together. Meg Stalter, who plays Kayla, and I, we really have a blast, and it's such a fun duo. So there's much more actually that we pitch for their characters that we often think, well, it doesn't exactly fit, but let's file it away.
How much of that was baked in as part of the show, or just natural chemistry that evolved?
Well, we definitely pitched those characters as part of it. We pitched all of the characters in the show, and the show is always about sort of the ecosystem that supports a famous woman like Deborah Vance. So we knew they were going to be a part of it, but it does evolve. So this season, there's a lot more Jimmy Kayla, and that's because their story and the mission they're on really dovetails with what Deborah is after, which is really sort of the hardest goal she's ever tried to achieve.
You have a Golden Globe, Emmy, Peabody. At what point do you drop the W? Like, are there other people that, were you trying to differentiate yourself from the other Paul Downs
there
out there?
There are a bunch of Paul Downses. There are writers, there are actors. My father is one, so, I don't need him collecting a residual. It's got to come to me.
It's got to be you. It's got to be the W.
You got to have the W, yeah.
Paul W. Downs, great to have you here.
Thanks
I hope you'll come back. A lot of fun. We want to let our viewers know you can catch Hacks Season 3 streaming May 2nd on Max. And we're also waiting for the Jimmy Kayla spinoff as well.
I can't wait.
A little plug
2027.
there. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Lindsay Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Coming up in the next hour, Brittany Griner looks back at her imprisonment in Russia and the moment she found out she was going home. The new Doctor Who and his new companion, we sit down with the stars of the popular show.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
That sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
Whenever news breaks.
We are here in Israel, a nation at war.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this town.
From Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike.
ABC News Live everywhere.
In Iceland, let's go.
On the 2024 campaign trail.
Here at 10 Downing Street.
Wherever the story is.
We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
An operation to capture ISIS fighters.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate now. Militants came in from 4 or 5 different directions. Operational nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag, there's not a tear in it.
Not a tear in it.
How important is this label right here, Made in the USA? Look at your smile. You're proud of this.
I love this.
Great work.
Hi.
Where are you? Where are you?
Appreciate you. Thank you. David, good to meet you.
Ismail? David.
David.
Yes, yes. I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
Reporting from Monterey Park, California, I'm Robin Roberts. Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Good evening, everyone. This is ABC News Live Prime. I'm Lindsay Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, including former President Donald Trump held in contempt and fined thousands of dollars for violating a gag order, warned by the judge overseeing his hush money case he could be jailed if he does so again. Plus, the rising tensions on the Columbia University campus and videos circulating of aggressive protesters and police in areas like Richmond spraying protesters with pepper spray over Israel-Gaza demonstrations. And it's the longest-running sci-fi television series in the world, spanning more than 60 years. And the Time Lord himself joins us when Doctor Who's and Millie Gibson sit down with us. But we do begin with that breaking news. At the epicenter of those growing pro-Palestinian protests across the country, police are beginning to move on the campus of Columbia University. This comes after overnight a group smashed through windows and broke into the historic Hamilton Hall at Columbia and then tied the doors shut. Today, Columbia said the students occupying that building could be expelled. New York City's mayor spoke late today and said he believes there are outside agitators among the demonstrators. Stephanie Ramos leads us off tonight from Columbia.
This is the moment protesters smashed through the doors of a Columbia University building overnight, taking their demonstrations to a new level. Protesters zip-tying doors shut and barricading themselves inside, renaming the building with a new flag in honor of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Palestinian girl killed in the war in Gaza.
The reclamation of the hall in the name of Palestine, in the name of Gaza, shows how committed students are to their solidarity with Gazans.
Tonight, Columbia University saying protesters have chosen to escalate to an untenable situation, vandalizing property, breaking doors and windows, and blockading entrances.
I feel like the leadership hasn't taken action. I think they've kind of let them get away with a lot of stuff, and it's about time we get some action.
The school warning of consequences, but for now, not calling in the NYPD. College demonstrations now reaching every corner of this country, calling for schools to divest from ties to Israel. After dozens of arrests at UNC, protesters taking down an American flag and replacing it with a Palestinian flag until school officials restored it. In California, police moving in to arrest 25 protesters at Cal Poly Humboldt on charges like vandalism and assault after students took over a campus building for a week. At Virginia Commonwealth University, police using pepper spray after the school said officers were targeted with objects and chemicals. Protesters seen flushing their eyes with water. With no end in sight to the showdown at Columbia, Jewish students who support the right to protest telling us they are worried.
Well, I think last night represented a major escalation because before that, at least the protests inside campus were mostly peaceful, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
Tonight, the governor of New York says protesters occupying this building have crossed a line.
These individuals are clearly breaking the law. There must be accountability, whether that's disciplinary action from the school or from law enforcement.
Our thanks to Stephanie. Next tonight, Donald Trump's criminal trial. The judge held Trump in contempt of court today. Judge Merchant leveled a $9,000 fine after repeated attacks on witnesses and potential jurors. Trump was also ordered to remove the social media post in question, which he did during the trial's lunch break. ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky reports from outside the courthouse.
Tonight, the judge in Donald Trump's criminal trial holding the former president in contempt of court for his relentless public attacks on witnesses and potential jurors. Judge Juan Merchan ruling Trump violated the gag order 9 times, slapping him with a $9,000 fine, the most allowable, and a warning. If Trump keeps it up, it may be necessary and appropriate to throw him in jail. The ruling coming on day 9 of the trial, Trump repeatedly complaining how cold it is in court.
I'm going to sit in a freezing cold icebox for 8 hours, 9 hours or so. They took me off the campaign trail.
For the first time, a member of Trump's family accompanying him to court, his son Eric, who sat behind his father. Prosecutors today laying out the hush money payment at the heart of the case, showing the jury how Trump's former fixer Michael Cohen arranged to pay porn star Stormy Daniels for her story of an alleged affair with Trump to keep it from voters before the 2016 election. Prosecutors called Daniels' former lawyer Keith Davidson, who helped broker the deal. He testified Daniels' story had been floating around the internet for years, but Trump's team made no effort to buy it until the final weeks of the 2016 campaign, after the Access Hollywood tape became public. Trump heard boasting about groping women.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Before the Access Hollywood tape, Davidson testified there was very little, if any, interest. But after, that interest reached a crescendo. Davidson found himself negotiating directly with Michael Cohen. The two men struck a deal. Daniels would get $130,000 for her story. But Davidson testified it was my understanding that Mr. Trump was the beneficiary of this contract. But the payment kept getting delayed. Davidson said Cohen told him, "What do you expect me to do? My guy is in 5 states a day. I'm doing everything I can." Davidson was convinced, though, they were trying to kick the can down the road until after the election. Ultimately, Cohen told him, "God damn it, I'll just do it myself," and paid the porn star out of his own pocket. Prosecutors say when Trump later reimbursed Cohen, he illegally falsified documents to make it all look like a legal expense.
Our thanks to Aaron Katersky. And we turn now to that violent shootout in Charlotte, North Carolina. Officers serving a warrant came under fire. 8 were wounded and 4 of them killed. And tonight, the faces of those fallen officers. Here's Faith Abube in Charlotte.
Tonight, the dramatic new video showing the suburban Charlotte neighborhood turned into a war zone. A tense standoff with a convicted felon that left 4 officers, including a U.S. Marshal, dead and 4 others wounded. The officers seen taking cover behind vehicles as they exchanged a barrage of gunfire with the heavily armed suspect. Officials say around 1:30 Monday afternoon, members of a U.S. Marshal Fugitive Task Force went to arrest Terry Clark Hughes Jr. for felony possession of a firearm. Police say the suspect saw them coming and targeted them as they approached his house.
He was shooting from upstairs down at the officers, both front and back. Gunshots were coming from multiple locations within the house.
The suspect armed with an assault-style rifle, a handgun, and extra ammunition. Sang Chun lives next door and was just feet away.
And the bullets were flying.
Flying right here. The violent shootout lasting 4 hours. The suspect shot dead on his front lawn. At an emotional press conference today, officials clearly grieving, remembering the officers' heroic acts in the line of duty.
It's just been very tough. And knowing that you have families that are hurting right now. We'll get through it, though.
Investigators now identifying all 4 law enforcement officers who died in the violent attack. Officers Sam Pelosi and William Alden Elliott, 14-year veterans of the Department of Adult Correction. Thomas Weeks, a U.S. Marshal who leaves behind a wife and 4 children. And Joshua Iyer, an Army veteran and father of a 3-year-old who just last week was honored as Officer of the Month.
Our hearts go out to those families. Our thanks to Faith for that. Now to the race to the White House. Former President Donald Trump sat down for a wide-ranging interview with Time magazine with new comments on abortion, saying some states might choose to monitor pregnancies to possibly prosecute women who violate abortion bans. Now President Biden is responding. Here's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, Donald Trump says he won't stand in the way if states want to monitor pregnant women to make sure they comply with abortion bans. And he won't step in to prevent states from prosecuting women who violate those bans by ending their pregnancies. In an interview with Time magazine, Trump was asked, do you think states should monitor women's pregnancies so they can know if they've gotten an abortion after the ban? Trump saying, I think they might do that. Again, you'll have to speak to the individual states. Trump then asked if he'd be comfortable if states prosecute women who get abortions. His response, it's irrelevant whether I'm comfortable or not. It's totally irrelevant because the states are going to make those decisions. In the 2016 campaign, Trump said women who have abortions should be punished.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
He quickly backtracked. As president, he appointed 3 of the justices who overturned Roe v. Wade, something he continues to brag about.
We broke Roe v. Wade, and we did something that nobody thought was possible. We gave it back to the states, and the states are working very brilliantly.
President Biden calling Trump's comments today reprehensible, saying Donald Trump doesn't trust women. I do. Both Biden and Trump well aware that abortion could be on the ballot in 13 states this November, including critical battlegrounds like Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida, and that every time abortion has been on the ballot since Roe was overturned, even in red states, abortion rights have won.
Our thanks to Mary Bruce. Tonight, a warning from federal authorities about a growing number of scams targeting seniors. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas shows us how it works.
Tonight, that harrowing video seen by the nation. The senior with the gun charged with murdering the unsuspecting Uber driver. The result of what authorities say is an explosion of scams targeting senior citizens, this one with deadly consequences. Now the FBI warning just how pervasive scams against senior citizens have become. Victims losing $3.4 billion in 2023. Up from $3.1 billion in 2022. And just today, the DOJ charging 16 suspects in the Dominican Republic and the U.S. with the so-called grandparent scam, stealing millions of dollars in a multinational scheme. Here's how it worked. The scammer would call the senior citizen claiming thousands of dollars were needed for a loved one who had been in a car accident involving a pregnant woman. The elderly person would panic, agreeing to pay the money. A courier would then show up at the person's home and collect the money, or the victim was instructed to mail the cash.
They're susceptible. They're not as familiar with technology as younger people, and therefore they're most likely to be impacted by this type of fraud.
Something to be mindful of. Our thanks to Pierre for that. Robin Roberts sat down exclusively with WNBA star Brittany Griner. We want to show you a clip of her emotional account of what it was like being imprisoned in Russia and the moment she was told she'd be coming home.
They send a note to you.
It said, be ready to leave. And I saw that paper and I was so thrilled.
And then you get on the plane.
I didn't know where we were going, though. I had no idea where the trade was going to be.
You wrote that you were hoping to see someone else on that plane. You were hoping to see Paul Whelan.
When I walked on and I didn't see him, I was like, okay, maybe I'm early. Maybe, maybe he's next. Maybe they're going to bring him next. And when they closed the door, I was like, are you serious? We're not going to let this man come home right now.
And being traded for the person known as the Merchant of Death, there were some Americans who thought that wasn't a fair trade, that this was a heinous criminal. And to be traded when it should have been perhaps somebody else. What do you say to those who felt it wasn't a balanced trade?
If it was left up to me in that trade, I would have went and got Paul and brought him home. But any time that we can bring home an American, that is a win for Americans. No one should be left behind.
You can see more of Robin's exclusive interview on 2020 tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Still much more to get to coming up. The Length One Wildlife Rescue Center is going to protect its animals from the extreme heat sweeping Southeast Asia. But next, they're the new generation taking over the longest-running sci-fi television series in the world. Meet the new Doctor Who and his new companion, bringing new life to the classic Doctor Who.
Whenever news breaks,
We are here in Israel, a nation at war after that brutal surprise attack by Hamas.
On the ground in Ukraine, reporting from Lewiston, Maine.
The scene of a horrific mass shooting.
ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine. Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
In Rolling Fork, this tornado tore through this little town.
From the most devastating disaster in Hawaii.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail.
In Iceland, let's go.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
From the front lines. From southern Israel.
Outside the Gaza Strip.
In Beirut. From the FBI.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is, we're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live, streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
Let's go.
The ship is incredible. It feels like living in a science fiction movie.
We just saw what no one has seen before.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my gosh. We are heading into the unknown.
Hammer, hammer, hammer. It doesn't get any more cutting edge than this.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
We are part of an operation.
Is this our Combat Operations Center?
We're approaching the gate. Militants came in from different directions. Nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag...
Not okay, ain't it?
How important it made to USA.
Great work.
Hi, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ismail? David.
I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
I'm Aaron Katursky at the Trump Building on Wall Street. Wherever the story is, we'll take you there. You're streaming ABC News Live.
Welcome back. We're tracking several headlines around the world. Haiti's Transition Council named Edgar LeBlanc, the former Senate president, to head the committee instated last week as it seeks to bring security back to the violence-racked Caribbean nation. The transitional body is formed by 7 voting members and 2 non-voting observers. LeBlanc won the nomination with 4 votes, including his own. Per Haiti's constitution, the country should elect a new president by February of 2026. Hunger and starvation continue spreading across Sudan. Parts of the country are on the brink of famine. Agriculture has been ravaged as farmers have had their harvested crops stolen by paramilitary forces and fled their lands due to the violence. Hunger, not just fighting, is now driving displacement as people leave home in search of food. Malaria and other diseases are spreading among the displaced. In the capital, residents are under siege in their homes. In some cases, they pick the leaves off of trees and boil them just to eat. As extreme heat sweeps Southeast Asia, the Cambodian Wildlife Rescue Center is working to protect animals from its effects. The center constructed a new water pond for the elephant and also sprayed water on other animals rescued in the country. Cambodia's government advised to avoid outdoor activities as the heat could surpass 109 degrees Fahrenheit. Time now for the latest in our series Streamlined, where we take you behind the scenes of some of the biggest films and TV series hitting screens worldwide. Doctor Who is one of the longest-running sci-fi television series in the world, spanning more than 60 years. The series focuses on a Time Lord referred to as the Doctor, who can travel through time and space with a human companion in a TARDIS, a time-traveling ship shaped like a police box. The latest iteration stars actor Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor and actress Millie Gibson as the companion. Let's take a look.
I have the whole universe at my fingertips, and I'm all on my own. I'd love it if you came with me.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
And joining us now, actor Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. Thank you both so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so Ncuti, let's start with you. You went from Netflix's series to, let's see, you were one of the Kens on Barbie. Yeah. Now you're doing this. What's it like to have so many highly acclaimed shows all at the same time? Or movies, I should say, too.
Great, an honor. It's always nice as an actor to have work. And working on such, I get the opportunity to work with so many amazing creatives, and that's all you can want as an actor. I've been very, very blessed in my career.
In the series, obviously, you all go through these adventures, time traveling all over. What can people expect, viewers, as far as the twists and turns in this next series?
Oh, my gosh, so much. We have Russell T. Davis back as showrunner, and he has taken us back to the 60s, back to Regency, to the universe, to the stars. Yeah, a lot of crazy time travel in this in this season.
What would you say is the hook that people can really expect?
I think just the bond between the Doctor and his companion, if I do say so. Yeah, we have so much fun, and I think there's so many beautiful layers about the show, and Russell kind of explores every single genre in every episode, and it's so brilliant to watch.
And this is actually the first time in Doctor Who's 60 years that we have an openly queer Black Doctor Who. Do you think about that as far as the barriers that it's breaking and what that might mean for viewers?
I do and I don't, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
I mean, it feels, the show in itself, I think, lends itself to diversity in a way. It's a shape-shifting alien, and the show has regenerated with audiences, and so I think like anyone can be the Doctor, and I think it's great that we're in a time now where we're showing that.
And Millie, you're actually the youngest companion ever, so making some history in your own right. What drew you to the role of Ruby Sunday?
I mean, Russell's writing for one, and as soon as I got the call being like, you've got an audition to play the potential companion of Doctor Who, I was like, I'm in. If I do get that, I am in. Because it's such an iconic role, and I think it's every girl's and every boy's dream to be a part of this show. And yeah, I'm really, really, really honoured to be here.
David Tennant, obviously one of the most beloved Doctor Who's, and during the Christmas episode, he kind of passed the torch to you. Did he give you all any advice?
Yes, lots of amazing advice, mostly just handling the pressures of the role, because it's such like you say, it's like these two roles, you can recognize them from 50 feet away. So just handling the pressure of 60 years of wait.
Yes, yes.
Of a show, he just taught us to handle that calmly. Yeah.
How about for you? Any suggestions?
Well, I actually contacted Karen Gillan, who was a past companion, who was called Amy Pond, her character, and I slid into her DMs. And I was like, how has it been? And it's so lovely to talk to you. And I was kind of just expressing my admiration for her. And she was just so beautifully humble and so, you know, supportive, and gave me really lovely words of wisdom, because it's such a unique role.
Any kind of teasers, not without a spoiler, but what people can expect coming up?
A lot of madness, a lot of adventure, a lot of heart as well.
A lot of
heart in the season. And a lot of outfits as well. Fashion.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys are bringing it today. And you also have a really nice, just like chemistry, companionship. But the two of you just as individuals, and I think that is why it translates so well on screen, because it was clear as soon as you came in tonight that there's a friendship there, and so that's just refreshing to see. I thank you both so much for coming by.
Thank you for having us.
Shuti and Millie joining us tonight. Want to let our viewers know Doctor Who begins streaming Friday, May 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Disney+. New episodes debut on Fridays. And still to come, brotherly love and understanding. Meet the pair of brothers who are showing social media all the ways that autism can be a superpower.
Why do so many people start their day here?
From ABC News, this is Start Here.
To be in the know and get a different take on the day's top stories.
A lot of news today, so let's get into it.
Listen now to the Daily News Podcast honored with 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, and see why the New York Times calls it a news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, ABC News. Make it your daily first listen.
Now, that's a part of the story I bet you didn't see coming.
Wherever you get your podcasts, Start Here.
Can you believe it? It's 25 years of breakfast in bed, surprising moms across America.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
And for our 25th anniversary, we're making it the biggest surprise yet.
A full-on breakfast in bed extravaganza like you have never seen before.
So go to goodmorningamerica.com or scan this QR code to find out how to enter a deserving mom you love for breakfast in bed.
Is that you?
Pretty good.
That's me and my big booty.
How much do you make on OnlyFans versus, say, an episode on Sopranos?
Oh, way more on OnlyFans.
Celebrities can absolutely make a living on OnlyFans.
Bella is the model. He made over $20 million.
Do you consider what you do pornography or sex work?
OnlyFans, not just sex.
If I had it to do all over again, I would have done it sooner.
Only on Hulu.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
We are part of an operation.
Is this our combat operations center?
We're approaching the gate. Militants came in from different directions. Nuclear reactor. So you have a couple loaded and ready to go. The house is destroyed, but the flag...
Not a carry.
How important it made the USA.
Great work.
Hi, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Ismail?
David.
David.
I'm David Muir.
I know who you are.
You
Watch
do?
you every night.
ABC's World News Tonight with David Muir is America's most watched newscast.
Finally tonight, two brothers, one who has autism, the other who does not, amassing more than 1 million followers on social media. And for Autism Awareness Month, this fun-loving duo wants to show the world that autism is a superpower. And Wynn has this story.
Today is Max's making chocolate chip cookies.
Jacob Tilk and his brother Max taking the internet by storm.
How do you feel?
Their social media channel called My Brother Max highlights Max's everyday life, including his triumphs and challenges with autism.
Now to get the cookie trays.
That's right. I wanted to expose people to autism and what that is and what that means.
Their social media dates back to 2008 when they were in their early teens.
Say hi, Max. Hi.
He was always my best friend. We were always together every single day.
Jake says one of the hardest parts about growing up was that he couldn't always be there for Max.
There was somebody that bullied Max every single day on the school bus, and I wasn't able to be there actively to protect him, but I would go get him from the bus stop after school, and there was this kid that
No bully.
Yeah, not anymore.
Now, Max has plenty of new friends online. The duo hitting 1 million followers on TikTok.
How does the TikTok make you feel?
Good.
How does making videos with your brother make you feel?
Better.
I didn't really expect it to blow up to the dimensions it did and to kind of have this like impact on people, but I'm really proud of my brother.
Max has photographic memory and is a savant with dates. He can pinpoint which day of the week any particular day was, no matter the year.
Maxie, what year was JFK assassinated?
1963.
What year did Martin Luther King have the I Have a Dream speech?
1963.
Yep. What year did Walt Disney and his brother Roy found the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio, also known as Walt Disney?
1923.
What day of the week was April 30th, 2017?
Sunday.
Yes. But Max's favorite things to do?
Cut grass, help with Dad.
He loves chores around the house, video games, and baking. He has his own job as a baker for the Michigan Cookie Project in Detroit.
I want people out there to know that people with autism have value. It doesn't even have to be autism. It could be any sort of neurodivergence. Treat them with kindness, empathy, and respect. And I think that that is a really important thing that the world could benefit from.
Cookies are complete.
Cheers.
Cheers the cookies.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What a heartwarming story. Our thanks to M. Wynn for bringing us that. And that is our show for tonight. I'm Lindsay Davis. ABC News Live is here for you all night with the latest news, context, and analysis. You can always find us on Hulu, Roku, Pluto TV, the ABC News app, and, of course, on abcnews.com. The news never stops. Thanks so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
This is not about parents who just let their kid watch violent movies or play violent video games. This is about parents who neglect